Hello and welcome to the Candid Expressions show. Tonight it's face to face with Rosemary Zembi, and my guest tonight is not new to any of you. His name is Peter Karanja, and he will be joining me in just a few minutes, where we will be talking about his career path, the journey from school to employment, and from employment to joblessness, and from joblessness into discovering his strength in entrepreneurship. Right now, he's going to walk us into his journey and how that has been for him and where he is today on that journey. Please help me welcome Peter Karanja to the studio. Welcome, Karanja.
Thank you, Rosemary.
You're welcome. How are you?
Very well.
Have a seat.
Thank you, Rosemary.
You're very welcome. How are you today?
I'm very well.
Good.
Yeah.
So, as we were talking about earlier, and which I've told my audience, is we will be talking about your, basically we are doing a post-mortem of your journey in career.
Right.
I know we've talked about your journey of employment and then how you discovered entrepreneurship after losing your job.
Right.
Because I know many people get caught up in that, and it becomes like a dead end. I've lost my job, now what? Everybody goes into panic, and instead you went into entrepreneurship, which was a wonderful journey for you. So maybe you can tell us a little bit where you are right now. It's like in hindsight, this is where I am, and you tell us where you are, and then we go back to how did you even end up where you are right now?
Great.
Yeah, because many people, I'm sure, will be curious how
Yes.
a young man like you has been through all that. Yes.
I would say it has been a good experience
Yes.
of reinvention.
Right.
And all those mistakes perhaps you have made also in business.
Yes.
I'm in a place where I'm reflecting back, evaluating, and now seeing the areas that I need to improve on. And right now, since I have an idea of where I'm headed to, the kind of business I want to invest in. So I'm in a place where I'm doing more of piloting. Yes.
But you're not yet on cruise control.
Not yet. We'll get there soon.
Good. So tell us about your employment.
Right.
When you joined employment, when you went into employment, how was that like as a young person? Because I know you're also in leadership. You were in a position of supervisor while you were employed.
Yes.
How was that like as a young person going into employment and becoming a supervisor at such a young age? And then from there, how did it happen that you transitioned from employment to entrepreneurship? Was that a choice you made, or was it fate that brought you there?
Amazing. Thank you for asking that question. For me, I have loved books, and especially business books and personal development books. And I remember bumping over a book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. So when I was going into employment,
Right.
it was intentional. It was a choice I was making
To go into
employment.
Right.
I remember Kiyosaki was encouraging us, go for employment to learn.
Okay.
So for me, when I was going to employment to work for a few years,
All right.
then get back to business.
Also, it was strategic.
It was strategic.
Okay.
And I remember even when I was still in employment, I would go into the back office, interact with these guys, interact with the marketers, interact with the accountants. I want to know how does this thing come to be? How
Like
do
all
we run the business?
the different arms or elements of the business, the
different
insides.
components of this business,
Right.
and they make it now to look or even make the money they make, the revenues they make, the service they do.
Right.
Yeah.
And so while you were there,
Right.
it was strategic for you to go based on the book that you had read.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I think our viewers also, this should be a point to learn that even though some people feel wired for business straight from school,
Sure.
it's also and always important to try to serve under somebody.
Exactly.
So you understand the logistics of running a business, the dynamics
Yes.
of HR,
Right.
of accounting, of marketing, and all that. So you can probably maybe gain some experience in maybe risk control and management.
Yes.
And so that was great for you. So yes, it was strategic for you to go learn
Right.
how to how a business operates.
Yes.
And it's good to be inquisitive and to read books, to really look for information. We must seek for information, right?
True.
So that strategic move, did you have a cap? Like, did you decide I want to work for 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years? Or how were you able to gauge, okay, now I'm done with employment, I'm ready for business?
Oh my goodness. Mine was 2 years. I wanted to work for 2 years. And bad things happened in the business. In that company I was working.
Right.
It collapsed. The company collapsed.
Before the 2 years?
Before the 2 years.
Oh,
So now that threw me off the rails
right.
of my targets for 2 years.
How long were you there?
I was there quite a short time. I'm even shy enough to say.
No, it's okay. It wasn't your fault. At least you were not fired. I mean, it collapsed. You had no control.
Yeah.
That's part of the lessons,
Sure,
really.
It was quite brief. That was 1 year and a few months.
Oh, I thought it was 3 months.
No.
1 year, you learned quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So it collapsed.
It collapsed.
Before your targeted 2 years.
Yes.
Okay. Walk us from there, through that journey from there into entrepreneurship. How do you, the business has collapsed.
Right.
You basically found yourself, it's like someone just blew the roof off of your house and it's raining.
Right.
So here it's raining. You had not prepared for that rain.
Sure.
What did you do? How did you decide at what point it's safe now to go into business? Because that must have thrown you off a little bit and shocked you, right?
Sure, it did.
So how did you handle that? Because again, in life, there are so many unexpected, so many unpredicted changes and things like what happened there. How did you go through that? How did you transition from there into the new world of business, even though you were thrown off outside your schedule and your plans?
Sure. Most of the time, things will not go our way.
Right.
Not always. And I remember when that happened, it truly threw me off.
Right.
My plans. I had bigger plans. I wanted at least to raise enough capital to go to a certain business.
Right.
So now having stopped working, and I totally see the importance of having good savings, you know, because things can just happen.
Right.
Things, employment can come to an end.
Yeah, anytime. You have no
Yes,
control.
you have no
right?
control.
Yes.
And that company was a giant in this nation, and no one would believe would go down. So for me, I felt to be safe, and I would even encourage my fellow staff, you know, my fellow employees, you know, guys, this company can never go down.
Oh, you were that confident.
The structures, everything, praises from the clients. So I knew we're in good hands, even from our directors. So having good savings.
Right.
I didn't have much. You see, now this has just ended before
Right.
my timing.
And you had a target.
I had a
and then
target.
now, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank God I had some little money.
Right.
That enabled me. And that's how we ended up actually meeting.
Right.
So I had some little money, some little savings.
Yes.
And at least it helped me to go around about looking for something else to do.
Right.
Thank God, while I was still employed, I used to sell some ladies' bags. Yes.
I remember that. I was once your client.
Oh, yeah.
We've done business with him. You know, it was a business and coaching at the same time, and I remember buying bags from you, the African bags.
Yes, the African,
right.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I remember I sold quite a number of them while still employed.
Right.
So for me, when this happened, I was like, I'll continue doing the business.
Right.
On the other hand, they were not moving as fast,
right?
So it was not sustainable. And now I thought, no, I have giftings.
Right, good.
How about
gifting?
Yes, I have giftings. I can go and motivate students in schools. How about I do it? And I remember making some nice, how could we call it? The ones that we advertise,
the posters?
The posters,
yes.
Exactly. We made some good posters.
Yes.
Went around schools, and thankfully we got a few schools. I got a few schools that called me, come talk to our classmates. They're just about to do their KCP.
Right.
some other high schools come talk to our students. We have some issues here and there. I got a few schools.
Right.
I felt you get to one school today, the other school will come after 3 months. Yet I'm meeting.
It's like a freeway exit. And the next one is a few miles away.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And when I reflect now back, that's when I'm realizing actually it's always wise to have several sources of income.
Right.
Right? So that if one at this time is not bringing in income, I need to have daily, the one that is generating income on a daily basis,
right.
Another one that will generate income perhaps after a month or 2 months, or even after a year.
So there's one the long term, and then another one is short, like short returns.
Exactly. Or if you don't go that route, at least you save that money. You get for that year, you save that money.
Right.
You budget your money well. But
budget
people.
Very few people budget.
Very few.
I remember, Peter, because when you were doing that, you were in your 20s. When I did business, the first time I did business, I was in my 20s, early mid-20s. And that thing called budgeting, I never used to do. But somehow, by the grace of God, I did very well. My business thrived.
Right.
Because I had no clue what budgeting means. I had no clue what balancing books means. All I knew was, if I've taken out 50,000 and I went and did business and it returned 75,000, at least I know I'm above what I used.
Right.
And so even if I remove the cost of doing business, maybe 10,000, I still have at least 15,000 to 20,000 profit. So that's where I knew I don't have to do budgeting. I don't have to do things. I didn't have time. I was too busy chasing new business. So for you to the budgeting helped you. For me, it didn't help me because I really never did it. But like I said, it's really by the grace of God, guys. It's the grace of God. It was sufficient.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us how did that? So the budgeting helped you so that you wouldn't squander money.
Sure.
And you managed to save enough, and here you are now. You have some money. Even though it's not what you had targeted as your capital, starting capital.
And I'm also now going into schools.
And now you're going to school.
Realizing the money they're giving me.
It's also little.
It's not literal. The one week is coming today, another one will come after several months.
Right. Maybe one time and one time, right?
Right.
And that wasn't sustainable either.
Sure.
So where did you go from there? Did you like fall flat, or did you pick yourself right here when you realize these things are not sustainable and now I'm going to jump to the next level? Or did you ever go down like to the bottom? In transition, because in transition can go either way. You might be able to transition safely here. For example, if your employment term had matured, then it would have been a very safe transition into business, knowing you have enough. But here you are, the job has been cut short unexpectedly, and now here you are, your side gigs are not working, they're not sustainable, but you must eat and you must live. Take us through that. How did you manage that period of, that downtime and all that before you went into business? And how did you even go into business?
Oh my goodness.
Because when you're in the flat bottom place, one would wonder, how can you go from there into business?
Transitions can be ugly, and most of the times it can be. What do you say? Ugly. What is the worst of ugly?
I guess nasty. You know what? Why don't you take a break?
Yes,
and we come back, because I think that's a very good point to talk about transition, and the fact that transitions are not always something we prepare for, but something that we must do in life.
We must prepare.
Yeah, we must be ready for transition.
Sure.
So how about we take a break and we'll be right back. We'll be right back with you in just a moment.